Hello again, everyone. This is William with Quarantine Studio. I'm going to bring you another update here with the Mars Attacks piece that I'm working on. Getting this thing ready for Winterfest. The base, I think it's about probably 95% there, maybe a little more. And let's just take a quick tour here. I'm going to leave it zoomed out for just a moment. As you can see, our hapless victim here is all painted up and all nice and gory now. He's got maybe about 3 or 4 coats of the bloodish, gooey stuff that I've showed you, a little concoction that I was showing you in an earlier video. So about 3 or 4 coats of that, got him really nice and gooey looking the way I want. The bell is finished here now, as well as the rest of the base. Now this base doesn't really, I mean, you could go in and go nuts with this and add different colors and different things that you want. I wanted to keep it fairly simple, just keep it all grays and dull as much as possible, because I really want to draw attention to the model itself of the alien. And then of course I want to draw some attention to the victim here. So I'm going to spin this back around here and we're going to take a closer look at the victim. I'm going to talk about what I did. Alright, so let's see what we've got. Well, first his head here. Like I said, I just added a lot more goo in here, painted out the eye, and I put a little red wash in the eye. Figured by this point it would have been, you know, a traumatic experience. Probably would have shot blood up in the eye, a lot of pressure in the eye socket and that sort of thing. Who knows? I just wanted to do something a little different than a standard white eye. The teeth are actually showing up a little white on the screen here, but honestly in person they're not. They're more of an off-white, and they've got a they're a lot more subdued than that, so I don't know, maybe that's just with the video camera here. Anywho, so there's that. I'm going to zoom out just a touch so we can see maybe a little more of this, and get on down here to the gaping wound here at the end. Alright, so as you can tell, he has had a traumatic experience here with this. And what I wanted to do was the idea that, you know, this was a ray gun that caused this damage. Most of this was burned. And I achieved that look with pastels, little pastel chalks. And I really just kind of brought that in way up pretty high on this because of scorching and things like that. And then finally, to darken that up a little bit more, I went along the edges here and just airbrushed in a mixture of a black with just a touch of burnt umber in there, just to warm it up a little bit more. And just did that right along the edges and then down in the cavities as well. So a lot of this blood and goo here got a lot darker because of, you know, burning is what I wanted to get the idea across here, that was burnt flesh and organs and things like that. So there it is. Like I said, this is about 95% done. I want to come back in and just along the edges just touch that up a little bit with a lighter gray color for ash. And I just want to touch just the little highlights along there for that. And hopefully that'll sell the idea here. Let's see here. Let's see what else we got. So that's the victim. I pretty much, you know, just did the same thing here with his arm and his hand. You know, he's got a lot of trauma here to the end of his hands. His fingers are missing and things like that. And of course, I don't know what happened here that snapped his arm open. But same kind of treatment there. You've got the blood and gore, the pastels for the burn, the singeing, and then a little bit of airbrushing along the very edges for the burn. Okay, awesome. What else have we got? Okay, let me zoom out here just a little bit more. I know this particular vid, he's moving around a lot of zooming in, a lot of zooming out kind of thing, but I really want to be able to show you all the details. Let's take a look at the bell here real quick. The bell, I wanted it to be a bronze, and I also wanted it to have a little bit of a scorching effect to it. I don't know that I got the colors exactly right. My memory doesn't serve me quite well. It's been several years since I've seen the bell itself. But they were made of a bronze, and so I painted it with a bronze color. And the bronze, of all things, is a color that I've played around with different types of paints, metallic paints, acrylics, oil-based or enamels, and lacquers. The only thing I haven't done is a rub and buff, which is a wax, and just because I just don't have time for that kind of thing. So anyway, in this case, I thought I would maybe do one of those metallic colors And before I got started with it, I was working on another project. I've got the Warriors from the Stargate series, and these are the Horizon resin kits, and they're massive. And the headgear on those things, they got this weird metallic look, and if you look at the movie, there's different colors in it and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, the technique that I used here on the bell is one I'm going to use on those as well. And it's one that I got from another friend of mine. I told you about the goo coming from my buddy Jim Lawrence. The metallic here, I can't take full credit for this, but this is my buddy Joe Neisberger. And if you guys know Joe, you may know him as Crazy Joe. And he earns that name, honestly, but he is an awesome guy, super talented and super open with his, you know, quote-unquote secrets. He doesn't have secrets. He'll tell you how to do it. He'll help you with it. He's just awesome. Jim is the same way. If you've ever met these guys, they're just awesome. You owe it to yourself to at least go up and say hi if you see them at the show. And because they are just awesome. They're totally open with helping other modelers. They just... they don't mind that at all. But anyway, getting off topic there a little bit. Let's see here. I'm going to zoom out just a touch so you can see the product that I'm using here. So the technique that Joe was showing me, he had brought a couple of kits that he had worked on, and I don't remember the names. But anyway, they had a lot of metallics in them, and different colors and different things. And the metallics that he had, the paints just were incredible. It looked looked 100 times better than any paint I had ever seen. And I've shot all kinds of stuff, and I appreciate all of it for what it does. But this was something different on me. This is actually a powder. It's a powdered pigment. Now, I don't know if this is the same brand that Joe was talking about, but this is what I could find. It's from a company called Jacquard, something like that. Anyway, it's called Pearl X Powdered Pigments, and this particular one is called an Antique Bronze. Now, they also had a couple other colors here that I just picked up for giggles for another project. They have a Super Copper, and man, look at that. That is Super Copper. And then they also have just a Silver, which is more of a gunmetal, almost a gunmetal color to me. Anyway, what I wanted to do was use that on my Stargate pieces. And when this piece came across my desk, I said, you know what? I'm going to try this technique because, hey, what can it hurt? And so what I ended up doing was taking those and mixing up this little concoction here. Now, this is just the antique bronze. This does not have the copper in it. And if you know, copper does have a certain amount, bronze does have a certain amount of copper in it. But I did not use any of that in this particular case. I didn't get that reddish color in it. And of course, I mixed that up with my all-time favorite, Future Floor Wax. Also, they call it Pledge now with Future Shine. And this bottle is a little bit older. It's a couple years old maybe. But anyway, I mixed that up, and that's the little concoction that you get here in this little paint cup. Just mix it up straight. As far as the percentage, I don't know. I mix this about like I mix all my other paints. I do it by eye. If the consistency looks right, the color looks right, it must be right. And so I just go with it. I applied this by hand with a brush, a big wide flat brush. I guess you can shoot it with an airbrush. I've done that as well. And I actually have a piece that I can show you. Let me reach over here on my other table and grab it. And so that's this piece here. And so you can see he almost has kind of a golden color to him. No washes on him yet. It was a same kind of primer that I used on the Mars Attacks piece. And so the bell looked pretty much like this. It was really bright, and that's obviously not antique bronze. And even here in the jar, the antique bronze doesn't really look like what's on the statue there. I mean, it doesn't match this. It doesn't match the Frankenstein there I showed you. So, you know, there's a little bit of playing around with it. It doesn't even match what's in the cup. I mean, it looked very close to what was in the cup. And so, how did I get this? Well, once that had dried, once this coat had dried and I was sure it was a good solid coat of it, I went back and I mixed in some black with some burnt umber. And then, once again, of course, I use my Future Floor Wax to mix all that together and thin that down and make a nice little wash. And then I just washed that over the bell. And the result is that. You get this kind of worn look. Some of the highlights kind of show through. You can, as it's drying, you can kind of go in there and wipe some of that off if you want to bring out the original brighter bronzy color there. But that's how I end up with the antique bronze that I have here on the bell. So that's it. The alien himself, he's still over on the other table, and he's almost done. He's probably 85% done. So another video update coming up on just the alien. All right. Well, that's it, guys and gals. I keep saying guys, and you know, that's because that's the vast majority of our hobby is guys, but I know there are some of you lady folk out there, and there you go. So here it is, the Mars Attacks base, and it is about, like I said, about 95% done. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you in the next video.